So hi everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of the Once Upon a Book Club live stream. In May we read Mrs Winterbottom Takes a Gap Year by Joanna Nell. And today, as always, I have these two lovely ladies with us. We have Deb and Maureen.
Hi everyone.
Thank you for joining me. So we'll be chatting about what we thought of the book. So if you haven't actually read the book yet, anyone watching, there will be spoilers probably in this video. So if you don't like spoilers, you might want to come back when you've read the video, and when you've read the book, and watch it on catch up. So Mrs Winterbottom Takes a Gap Year, basically in a nutshell, Heather Winterbottom and her husband Alan are both doctors, and they decide to retire. I think they're about 67, and they both have different ideas of what retirement looks like. And Heather decides to take a gap year, and it's quite predictable. Everything ends up happy. So that's the book in a nutshell. So, Deb and Maureen, what did you think of it?
Well, I for the first half of the book, I was getting fed up with a pair of them. I thought Alan was a wimp, and I just couldn't get my head around it at all. I like Esme. I thought she was great, but when she went to Greece, then I thought it cheered up, and I thought it was great. Well, it was very much on the Shirley Valentine theme. Did it go on?
Very Shirley.
They
do reference Shirley Valentine, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
What did you think?
I gave it 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I thought it was a lovely story, light-hearted. I mean, I did dislike Alan. I thought that Alan had certain expectations, and Heather had other expectations.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with them is that they did work together, but they had very poor communication, actually, which I would expect that maybe GPs do have quite poor communication because they're obviously in work all the time. And so what Heather expected to happen and what Alan expected to happen were two totally different things. And, there was a disconnect there, wasn't there?
Mm. For me, I only give it 2.5 stars, I'm afraid. Okay. It was readable, but I think it was very predictable, and that's not my kind of book, which I think didn't help.
Yeah.
I didn't mind Alan, actually. I thought him wanting to start his own kind of little vegetable garden, quite a nice idea, but I thought I could understand Heather. I have felt like that in the past, where I've thought, where's my life going? Has Warren, my husband, got the same kind of ideas? Because he just wants to go off metal detecting, and I'm sitting there like, what do I want to do? So I could kind of identify with her a little bit. But like,
me too. My husband does, like, he's really into motorsport. He's a marshal. He goes to all the Formula this, Formula that, doing marshalling, doing clerking. And I'm like, you work away, because my husband works away as well. And so I say to him, you do all this work away, then you're going away at weekends. He said, well, I've invited you to come with me. And I say, absolutely not. I have no interest in that whatsoever. I can't think of anything worse, isn't it? And you do, and especially as you get older and your kids are grown, then you think, where are we going? What are we doing in life?
Yeah, so it's the other way around. When we retired, we moved to Spain for start off. We sold our house and moved to Spain for 10 years, and we did everything together.
Yeah.
And I think, I think Jane's going to have a problem because her husband plays golf. It drives her mad. I said to her, when you get to retirement age, I think you're going to have problems. I know with Josh, he plays golf, but his partner plays with him.
Right.
So, but it's very difficult if you've got different hobbies.
Yeah.
See, Ron and I were very much the same. We just got on with things, and that's why I couldn't understand Alan, because Ron wasn't like that. We just did everything together.
Yeah.
Until he died.
I think Heather was expecting Alan to just do what she wanted.
Yeah.
I think I came to the conclusion in my own relationship that it wasn't good to rely on Warren to make me feel fulfilled and happy, I had to follow my own path. So I developed my own kind of hobbies, and we do most things together, but then we go our separate ways. So I could identify with Heather a little bit. I thought it was quite predictable once she got to Greece and she met the captain of the boat.
Yeah.
It was so Shirley Valentine, wasn't it?
It was.
What
I liked about the book, I liked the classical references, because I like classics. So
Right.
like the Homer references, and the reference to Odysseus, I really liked that. So yeah, that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, because I liked how the book kind of followed that.
Yeah. Did it
So,
make you read the
I
Odyssey?
like the end of the book when they, you know, where they sort of they went off together, and
Yeah.
went all the way round and everything, and I liked that's when I was quite happy with it. At the beginning, I got fed up with it. I thought, oh God, I'm not going to read this.
Yeah, I didn't dislike the book. It just, I gave it 2.5 stars, probably because it wasn't my kind of book.
Yeah, I'll give it 3.5 stars.
Right. So have you read the Odyssey, Deb?
Yes, of course.
Have you? One of the questions I was going to ask was, did it make anybody want to read the Odyssey? Because it did actually make me want to read it.
Yes, you should. I've got this one here. This is Richmond Lattimore translation. No, it's an introduction by Richard Lattimore. So and translated by Richard Lattimore. So this is my daughter's, because she did a classics degree,
right?
And so she's got several copies of the Odyssey, and I think this is quite an easy translation to get into, because obviously it's written in ancient Greek, and yeah, so that's quite an easy.
Is that written in poem form? Because she did say in the book that the Odyssey was kind of followed.
It is. It's like it is written in. It's a poem. The Odyssey is a long poem,
right?
And but it's easy to read. So so that's what it looks like.
Right. All right. I might give that actually.
You're probably able to get one of these in the charity shop potentially.
Yeah.
If you go to like Oxfam or somewhere has is it Oxfam? Yeah, Oxfam have charity bookshops, and so you might be able to get that, or secondhand bookshop probably.
Keep an eye out for it. I'm just going to go to the comments. Hi Christine, hi Diane. Thank you for joining us. Hi Leslie. So Christine says she loved the book. She thought it was very comical. There was a couple of things in it that I thought was really comical, and I actually jotted it down. And it was when they were talking about Alan's dad, the receptionist found him slumped in a pile of repeat next to a cold cup of tea. He hadn't even touched his ginger nuts. I do like humour like that. Yeah. So
yeah. And I like that she had a friend in a cardboard box. I thought that was quite funny.
Oh yeah. She kept dropping it as well, didn't she?
Christine gave it 4 stars, even though, like you say, it was quite predictable. Diane said, I agree, Karen, too many stereotypes and predictable. She gave it 2.5. Leslie, I enjoyed this book, especially as they both had different ideas of retirement, just like me and my hubby. That is an interesting thing. Christine says, it's the opposite way around for me and my husband. I'm the one with hobbies. We do a lot together. And Leslie said, did you read it in sections? Leslie, do you mean Mrs Winterbottom, or do you mean the Odyssey? Going on to the bit with the urn and our friend Esme. So Esme is, for anybody who doesn't know, Esme is Heather's friend, and I think, is she in her 80s?
Yeah, she must be.
Yeah,
died late in life, didn't she?
And Heather takes that urn of ashes to Greece with her.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little bit, not that she took the urn to Greece with her. I didn't think that was odd. What I thought was odd was that she kept saying the urn's turned itself around, it's facing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, was that just because she was drunk?
I wondered whether it was a reference to like the Odyssey, because obviously the Odyssey references gods and magic, And so I just wondered, because it was a little bit of that magical essence, isn't it? Of, because it was like, oh, if she thought the friend was annoyed, if she thought she was doing something that Esme found annoying, then the urn would turn itself around, or it'd spill a bit of the ashes out, or it'd tip up, or whatever. Like, so yeah, I just wondered if it was kind of a reference to that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Leslie said, did you read the Odyssey in sections?
I didn't. No, I read, you can do, but I read the whole thing from start to finish.
All the way through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I found a bit odd in the book was right at the end, when Alan is telling Heather what happened to his brother, how his brother died.
Yeah.
And I just thought they've been married, what, 30 odd years?
Yeah,
40
yeah.
years, and he hasn't told her how his brother died. And all that time, I thought that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
Did anybody else?
Yeah, that was a bit weird. And also how she still felt almost like it wasn't her home, like the house that they lived in.
Yeah.
And that it used to be his parents' home, and then she lived in it her whole married life, a whole lifetime.
And she wanted to get rid of Mrs. G, didn't she, as well?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? I feel like it's I definitely think they've had a lack of communication between them. But I think if you do work together and then live together, you maybe do have a lack of communication.
Or do you think that maybe because they were talking about work things when they got home, they were having a tea, talking about the patients or whatever, instead of talking about their own lives?
Yeah.
It must carry on into retirement, mustn't it? If you're both doctors.
Yeah. I mean, having not reached retirement age just yet. I mean, I've had this conversation with Warren before, and he's often said, "Oh, I can't wait until I retire, and I'm going to travel." And I'm like, "But you can't travel every week."
No.
And where are you getting the money from?
Well, exactly. So what exactly are you going to do with your retirement? Well, I don't know, but I guess you have to think about that, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do. Like my husband hasn't retired either, and I don't work, but I haven't retired theoretically. Yeah. But yeah, what are you going to do with your life? I just wonder what he is going to do with his life.
You see, I mean,
I've got plenty of jobs for him to do.
But
Ron and I didn't retire till we were 70.
Maureen, did you have a plan for retirement?
Well, we didn't retire till we were 70 anyway.
Right.
The only way I got my husband to retire is by moving abroad. Otherwise, he'd have worked forever. He was one of these people who had his own little business, and he built kitchens. He did everything, and of course, my son doesn't do anything because he's so used to his dad doing everything.
Yeah.
So Ron would never have retired. He would have carried on because people kept asking him. In fact, when he did retire, one woman wouldn't talk to him. She told him to say, "You're not going to come around and do my work." I thought, Jesus, no. But he said to me, I knew when I was about 69, I knew I was due to retire because I was only working part-time anyway. Yeah. And Ron said to me, "Oh, you're going to be bored at home." I said, "No, I won't." I knew I wouldn't.
I think a lot of men will struggle to retire. I think because they're so used to working, aren't they? It's like, I'll retire now. I'm quite fine with that.
Well, of course, when we went to Spain, we were on a golf resort, and everybody was new. It was all brand new, so we all got friendly together. So we used to go around together.
Yeah. So whereabouts in Spain did you live, Maureen?
Pardon?
Whereabouts in Spain did you live?
Well, my daughter's bought a flat on the place where we lived. We lived at Costa Calida, at the Torrey Golf Resort, and my daughter now owns a place there because she loved it so much, and they're going to retire there. It's funny how it swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
When she retires, that she bought a flat, and because we couldn't afford to keep our house at home and have a villa in Spain. We couldn't afford that. So my husband said, "Well, you either buy the villa and sell the house, or otherwise we rent the house out." And I said, "No, I don't want anybody in my house." So we decided to sell the house. And we moved out to Spain.
You didn't fancy a boat like Alan and Heather.
Yeah. But then we came back to Spain when he got cancer and died, and he died, and I live with David now. So, I mean, we had 10 years of really good life in Spain, and that's what Jane saw as well. The children used to come out for holidays, and we came back. We always came back Christmas in the summer as well. So
I'll just go to the comments. Diane says medical careers can be very overwhelming, I'd imagine. Yes, especially a rural practice. Christine says, I think Alan was holding on to his guilt and couldn't face sharing the facts with anyone, not even his wife. I kind of get that, but I think if Warren had been, I mean, we've been married, I think it's 38 years this year. If I knew his brother had died, touch wood, and he hadn't told us how, I think I would have asked by now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
We've been married 34 years, and I can't imagine not knowing something about my husband.
Yeah. I mean, I know all marriages will have some secrets, you know, maybe it's tiny little ones, but something as big as that, I find that difficult to believe. That.
And also, I'm surprised because she knew his father, didn't she? And I just wonder why nobody ever told her.
She didn't meet his father, did she?
Oh no, she didn't meet his father because she thought she was meeting his father.
Yeah,
that's it. Sorry. Like she thought when she went for the interview that she was having an interview with his father, but she had the interview with the husband.
But she lived with his mother, didn't she?
Yes,
it was his mother that she lived with.
Yeah. What did we think of Dennis, the Greek captain? What did we think of him?
I felt sorry for him over the children that drowned.
I thought that was sad.
I thought that was it was kind of an odd plot direction to take that off in. I thought.
I thought it was a deliberate. I thought that it was something that potentially the author thought should be in a book, should be something that people thought more about, maybe, and so plonked it in the middle of the book.
Because it
did seem like a bit
started book, hadn't it? Yeah, it just seemed a bit odd, and I did wonder if, because there was a lot of talk about the boat and how the boat was working and the winds and all that. And I thought, she's obviously knows something about boats and feels like I need to put this in the book somewhere, just like what you're saying with the refugees and stuff.
I liked the inclusion of the migrants. I thought that it was
different.
It was different, and I liked how Dennis was affected by it because I kind of felt like it humanized him, like how sad he was about them, and it kind of made him seem not just like eye candy for Heather, isn't it? It made him seem like a really thoughtful person, which I quite liked.
He did sound rather too good to be true, didn't he?
A little bit.
I wonder if we should take off to Greece and see who we can meet.
Well, I am. I'm going to Greece for holidays this year, not on my own, with my husband and my daughter. So.
But it was very funny that Heather never told him about Dennis, did she?
No.
Nothing went on. I mean,
I think Alan had
bought his boat
going on.
It was a bit strange.
Leslie says we've both retired in our 70s and sometimes we both like our own space. I can understand that. Christine says I retired at 68 and hated it for the first 12 months. My husband works 3 days a week. It's a nice mix. I have time to do what I want, and then we have time together for the nice things we both want. Sounds like a compromise. Good compromise. So would anybody watching like to take a gap year on their own?
I provide daycare for my grandchildren, so that's quite difficult, isn't it? Like, how do you sorry, I'm dumping you now. I want to on a gap year.
We could do a 1 month gap, then come home for a month, then go away for another month. That would be okay. It did make us want to go to Greece, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been to Greece once before. We went to Hessonissus in Crete.
We're going to
I've
Crete.
been to Crete.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
We're going there this summer. Well, the end of summer in September.
To Crete.
Yeah.
Whereabouts
to Crete?
Heraklion.
All right, yeah. Nice.
Mm.
Holiday.
Well, about an hour's away from Heraklion.
Have you been to Greece, Maureen?
I went, yeah, we went, Ron's, what is she? His brother's daughter, she lives in Greece. So we went, because that's one reason I didn't want to ever go to Greece. We went to all the other places, but never went to Greece. And we went there for a week, but they came back to England in the end. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it there.
Mm.
I liked
my daughter worked in Greece for 6 months. She was a beauty therapist before she had kids. And she decided she wanted to work away for a while. So she did 6 months in a hotel in Greece.
Ooh, nice.
And she also did nearly, I think it was 10 months in Bermuda.
Oh, nice.
So she got all that out of her system and then came home and
yeah.
had children.
Yeah.
Leslie says,
My
maybe
daughter
not
lived in Paris. My older daughter Claire lived in Paris.
Sorry?
My older daughter Claire lived in Paris for a bit.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, but she, it wasn't Emily in Paris. It wasn't anything like that. It was like tramps on the subway.
I love that, Emily in Paris.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that when she lived there.
Diane says she's been to Greece a few times and even to Ithaca. Is that how you pronounce it, Ithaca? Yeah. The places Heather and Dennis were going to really sounded lovely, and I liked all of the descriptions of the food they were eating and the wine they were drinking. I really wanted a glass of that wine they were having. It sounded very nice. Yeah. So I think Joanna Nell has written other books as well. Has anybody read any more of her books? They all look like they're on a similar vein.
Yeah, after we'd read Mrs Winterbottom Takes the Gap Year, after I'd read it, I did look to see if there was anything else that I fancied reading, and nothing particularly grabbed me. But I think they're probably all much of a muchness. Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie says, what do you think of when Heather went to buy the drugs? Were they for Esme? Well, I thought that was a bit odd as well, considering she was a doctor. Yeah, I think they were supposed to be for Esme, weren't they?
Yeah, because she said that was one of her regrets, that she didn't ever do that, and so she wanted to. I think she did want to do it for Esme, but I thought that was quite a funny sequence where she met up with one of patient in the churchyard car park, and she was worried that everybody was coming to do the bell ringing or whatever, and like she was worried in case somebody would see her and recognize her. I thought that was quite funny. I liked that.
Then she pretended she was there to do the bell ringing.
Yeah.
I loved it when she went and had her hair all cut off.
When she what?
Had her hair all cut off. The hairdresser.
No, I was thinking about doing that.
And he didn't even notice, did he, your husband?
I'd love to do that.
I think I might have mine chopped off, actually, have it cut short, really short.
My husband didn't even notice, though, did he? Alan didn't notice. Oh, dear.
Your husband. Christine says they were going to share the drugs as it was on Esme's bucket list. Yeah. Christine also says, I like the idea of a gap year, but I'm a bit nervous about being on my own anywhere. I don't think I would like to do a whole year on my own. I did the Open University many years ago when our kids were small, and I did go to summer school for a week.
Oh, where did you go?
Sorry?
Where did you go?
I went to Sussex University.
Oh,
yeah, so and that was on my own, obviously. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That was quite fun. But I don't think I would like to do a whole year on my own.
No.
I don't know how I would feel. Warren was out in Spain earlier last year, and I was going out to meet him. So I had to get on a plane on my own. I didn't like it. I didn't like it traveling at all on my own.
Oh, I used to travel backwards and forwards on my own to look after the children. If Jane was going away, I'd come back on my own on the train. I didn't mind doing that. Ron used to drop me off at the airport, and I used to, and Jane used to pick me up, and I used to have to look after the kids. Oh, it's lovely.
I mean, I've travelled within the UK on my own, not driving. I normally go by train or something.
No, see, I didn't drive.
Well, I can drive, but I don't like to drive somewhere where I don't know where I'm going.
Right.
So I only drive locally, and so if I'm going a distance, then I'll go by train typically.
Yeah. I don't mind a train on my own. I quite like a train.
No, I love being on the train on my own actually.
Yeah, but I didn't like going to the airport and getting on the flight on my own.
Yeah, I have done that myself. I've done that with my kids when they were small. We used to go back and forth because my parents lived in South Africa. So I travelled to and fro South Africa on my own with the kids.
How long does it take to get to South Africa?
10 hours.
That's a long way with children.
Yeah, my kids were used to it. They were well behaved.
My kids were well behaved.
I think the worst thing was, honestly, this is like an anecdote, which is maybe not for this. Sorry, everybody, if you're not interested in this, but like the worst was once, like somebody had really smelly feet. I was like sitting on the edge. My kids were we were on a row of three, isn't it? They were there, and then the person next to me on the other side of the row, like, they took their shoes off, and that was really revolting. That was the worst thing that ever happened to me when I was traveling on my own.
So has anybody got a bucket list of things that they'd like to do? Maureen, did you have a bucket list?
No, I think we did everything we want. The only thing now, what was it? I always wanted to go to Scotland. Well, Ron would never go. He said it's too bloody cold up there. He liked the sun. So we never ever got to Scotland.
So you've never been to Scotland?
Never been to Scotland. And I would love to have gone.
It's a lovely place. I mean,
I love it in Scotland. Yeah, I really like it. The only thing is apparently they've got lots of midges there.
Lots of what?
Midges.
Midges.
Oh, midges, yeah.
My son got married in Scotland about 3 years ago now, and it was just him and his girlfriend, who is now his wife, me and Warren and Haley's mum and dad, and they'd booked this like cottage for the weekend, and they got married on the beach. This was in October.
Oh, in Scotland.
October.
Oh, I bet you were shivering.
Freezing. In the photos, we're all.
Diane says, I don't mind traveling alone, but I'm a magnet for weirdos. I kind of am too, Diane. And honestly, I just avoid like the plague. Because I just avoid. Because otherwise, any old person normally talks to me.
Yeah.
And I do have a bit of an RBF. So I don't know why.
Resting bitch face. Something in RBF.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know why. And I agree. Kristen says there's still time, Maureen. You should. There's still time.
Get yourself to Scotland now, Maureen.
Yeah. What time?
Get yourself to Scotland.
Well, no, now I've got mobility problems, so I can't. I mean, we used to go down to Cornwall a lot after Ron died, but now I can't do hills. So
right.
It's such a shame now. I said, I wish I've got my brain, but the rest of me doesn't work very well. So, so I can't,
That's the drawback of.
I know it's a pain, but we did. I mean, we went down to Cornwall every year when Ron first died, but now we don't go away anymore because David doesn't like going away anyway. He never has. That's what I used to say to him. We took you abroad so many times, all the years when we were young. He said, once he got older, and he didn't want to go on holiday. He's quite happy to stay at home. I said,
I do agree with that, because obviously my children, I grew up abroad, and so did my husband. And I always felt like I didn't have like a stable base, really.
Mm.
And my children, first of all, they were born in South Africa, and then we moved to the Netherlands, and I kind of saw the same pattern, and I thought, oh no, we've got to get somewhere so they can have a stable childhood.
Yeah.
And I think that because of their traveling around a lot, they don't ever want to move away from where we live. You know, they want to stay where we live, and that's kind of why we would never move abroad, because they've chosen that, so we kind of have to choose that.
Yeah.
Just going back to the book, what did we think of Kevin? Now, when they said Kevin and Tilly had got together, I'm thinking, I thought Kevin was the same age as Alan.
So did I.
Did you?
Yeah, and I did as well.
Really? They're happy about this, 70-year-old man getting together with a 35-year-old daughter, but obviously he wasn't that old.
I think he was just a young person with older interests, which I feel like that probably was what Tilly was like too.
Yeah. Because she did they say she was working in Australia and should come home to do a gap year?
Yes. Well, she'd come home. She'd gone to Australia, and then she'd come home because they were going to go to Australia, weren't they? Heather and Alan. Yeah. And then she'd come home, so they kind of changed their mind about that, obviously.
Yeah, they were really surprised they got together, weren't they?
Yeah, I think I would like to have heard a little bit more about Tilly and Sarah and her husband as well.
I think there
could have been more backstory with them. Yeah. Because Sarah, it just seemed like she shoehorned the IVF into the story without actually giving much of the background on it.
Yeah.
That would be nice to hear more of them, but I guess it was Heather and Alan's story.
But then I wonder why she even had. I mean, I guess it was just like, people have kids, and their whole life isn't necessarily about their kids.
Yeah.
So maybe that is like, if you were telling me your story, you wouldn't necessarily tell me about your kids. Yeah. Although I know about your kids, but I wouldn't necessarily have to know about your kids. Or Maureen, know a bit more about your kids now because you've just spoken about them, but you wouldn't. It's not the most important thing about you.
Yeah.
So maybe that was that bit of the story.
I did like the way the book was written. I thought she wrote the story really well. It was easy to read. I think I read it in like a day and a half. I always tend to read faster on my Kindle for some reason. And I don't know whether if that's because I can see the percentage I've read at the bottom. And I'm just like, well, I'll just read a few more percent. Whereas in a book, I don't tend to do that.
Or maybe it's because I know I read on my Kindle, I've said that before, in the night. And so maybe it's because you can read at night and you just ignore them. Oops, he dropped my pen on the floor.
Yeah. Leslie says she's only been abroad once when she was 16 and went to France. So it ought to be on my bucket list. Get it on there, Leslie. Yeah. And she says they were both into the environment and green issues. Yeah, Kevin and Tilly, they were, weren't they? Yeah. Yeah. When I was reading it on my Kindle, I'd got to the bit where I think it was what I thought was the end of the book, and it said on my screen, if you like this book, click here to go and review it. But I thought, well, I'm not going to review it, and I flipped across, and then there was more of the book. So I was wondering if anybody had actually read it on Kindle, got to there, and thought it was the end, and didn't read past it.
Oh, maybe I did, and maybe I didn't read the end. I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you read the bit where Heather has decided to go and work as a doctor, training refugee doctors?
Yes.
Did you? Well, I think that was the end.
Yes, I read that bit. Yeah,
it must have done. But I thought that was a strange place to put. Click here if you want to review the book, and I haven't finished the book.
I never review books online. I think because my husband and I share our Kindle, our Kindle books that we have, isn't it? We've got one account, and so like Goodreads. If I go on Goodreads, it looks like my husband's read it, so it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like, Andrew Harris read Mrs Winterbottom Takes. They're probably weird.
Diane said yes, but also found the epilogue by accident. Yeah, it's an odd place to put it. just out of curiosity, if you read books on a Kindle, so if you've got physical books and you've read them and it's not a book that you particularly want to keep and read again, you take the books to the charity shop or whatever, you do them or pass them on. What do you do with a Kindle book? You can't really do anything with it, can you?
No, it's just there. It's just in your Kindle forever, I suppose. And it's weird, isn't it? That's why maybe that's why they're some generally a bit cheaper, are they? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Especially Kindle Unlimited. If you've got that through Amazon, then you get some books free. But can you share your Kindle books with other people?
I don't know. I don't think so. As I say, my husband and I are on the same account, so obviously we can share books.
Yeah.
Not interested in motor racing or whatever, but
it's just
so it's fun. Like I can't say, to my daughter, I read this good book, or my mum, or whatever. My mum loves reading, isn't it? She's got her own Kindle and she also got her own Amazon account. But I don't think so. We should look into that to see if there's something we could do with that, because that would be quite a worthwhile thing, I think.
If anybody listening to this knows if you can do that, let me know in the comments. The reason I read the comments out when I'm doing this is because once it's finished and the replay goes up, the comments aren't there. The comments disappear. So that's why I read people's comments out live, if you just wondered. So July's book, no, June, is it June? Isn't it? June's book is Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger.
Audrey Niffenegger.
Yeah,
I read that on the 22nd of April.
Oh, have you? You need to slow down, Deb.
I just can't help it. As soon as I hear a book, I'm like reading. You know, like that one that you said, once on your channel, Carl, Dungeon Crawler Carl.
I downloaded it,
read it. I don't know why. That was like
you read
hours of my life. Yes, I read it. Can you believe it? I read that.
Is it worth reading?
No. Don't waste your time.
I've downloaded it now. I'm going to have to read it now. And I think the consensus was for the vote on July's book is we will be reading The Forgotten Garden by Kate Martin. Yeah, I haven't read that book before.
I got that on audio, and I started to listen. I couldn't get on with audio. I said to David, bloody hell, my daughter uses audio in the car, so that's fine. But I was in bed and I thought, my mind was going elsewhere. I didn't understand a word what was going on.
I find it difficult to read.
I've bought the book now
in audio. If I read it in bed, if I'm listening to it in bed, I fall asleep.
No, that's it. I said to David, I can't get on with this. So I've bought the book now because I couldn't, Mrs Winterbottom, I had to buy the book because I couldn't get it on Kindle. They won't allow it on mine. I don't know why.
I got mine on
Kindle. You only got a sample. I said, well, that's no bloody good, is it? So I got a sample of the to see whether I liked it or not. But I've got all these books now, and I know where to put them. That's why I like Kindle.
That's why I like Kindle, because even though they're blocking up your Kindle.
These books now.
Oh, I read that on.
In fact, Kindle. I bought 2 of Mrs Winterbottom Gap Year. I said to Jane, I'm going mad with these bloody books. I've got books everywhere. So I said to me, half the stuff I can't get on Kindle. So that's why I've read 11 books this month. They're all on Kindle.
Wow, 11 books.
11 books. I had my housework and that went by the board, of course, and the washing. I said to David, I've got to do some ironing. Yeah,
Leslie says she's found that about the Kindle, you can't delete them. You can't actually delete a book off Kindle either.
And can you share it to Leslie, do you know if you can share it to someone else outside of the group that you've got on Kindle?
I'm sure, I don't know if it was Kindle or if I'm thinking of Audible, but one of the two you can share with somebody else, because I heard another YouTuber say they shared with their mother. I don't know whether it was Caroline, Caroline Mrs M. But I don't know if that was Kindle or not.
We've all got Kindle, so
maybe somebody will know. Leslie says audio sends her to sleep. I find I can read a non-fiction book or listen to a non-fiction book on audio but fiction just, unless I'm on the bus. I worked somewhere a couple of years ago, and it was like a half-hour bus journey, like to work and back again. And I listened to, I think he's called Peter James, The House on Cold Hill.
Oh, I've read that. He writes is that about a Scottish island or something?
Sorry?
I read some of his books. Does he write about a Scottish island or something?
I've only read I read that, and I read The Secret of Cold Hill. It's kind of a horror ghost story. And I enjoyed listening to that.
Well, we'd be listening to a ghost story on the bus. Like,
I wouldn't listen to it on my own at night. I'd be too scared.
no.
I've just started to read The Island again.
The
Island.
was that Victoria Hislop?
Yeah.
I've just started to read that again. I loved it.
Spinalonga.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went there when we went to Crete. We visited Spinalonga. It was
oh yeah.
Because all the buildings are still there on that island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it so much because I like Victoria Hislop's books.
Yeah, wasn't there a sequel to it as well?
I
think there's a sequel to The Island.
No, I don't know about that. Because the next one she wrote was The Return, wasn't it? So I read that. That's about the Spanish Civil War.
Right. I'm sure I read it somewhere that there was a sequel to it.
No, I don't think she. I've read quite a few of her books. The Thread as well. But
has anybody read anything recently that they want to share? It was good.
I've got 11 books that I.
Sorry?
They tried to get the book club to put Ruth Sabaton on because she is a fantastic.
They never get picked, do they? I put them on every month and it's never picked.
I know. Every time I put it on, I said to her, one of these days I said it will get picked because she's a fantastic author.
Sorry, Maureen, I've missed that. Who is that?
How I come to read the first one of it, on the VE days, she put it out for nothing to buy, or it's on Kindle anyway. All her books go on Kindle, and it was called The Promise. But I read that, and I read The Letter. The Letter is my favourite book of all.
It's an author called Ruth Sabaton.
I'll write it down. Let me get my pen off the floor.
That is a fantastic book.
There's just not enough hours in the day for all the books I want to read.
No.
I didn't. I had wanted to read. I think there were 6 or 7 books I put on my list last month, and I only managed 5. So hopefully this month I can read a few more. Mind, I have been watching more TV this month.
Yes, I don't watch much TV. Mind you,
I watched that thing you spoke about in your video, the Power of Parker. I watched one episode of that. I quite liked that.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to watch the Christine Keeler trial.
Right.
That's just come on. So I said today we might perhaps watch that on Saturday night because I like to do my reading most evenings. So
Leslie says, is it The Figurine? A book called The Figurine?
Yes, I've got that on Kindle as well. That's one of hers. That's one of Victoria Hislop's books.
So this month, June, is Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger. And then July is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. So if anybody wants to read that, they can join us on the live at the end of this month. Christine says she's lucky if she reads 3 a month. Until I started this book channel, I was lucky if I read 2 books a month. But having started the book channel, I kind of have to read more.
Yeah.
You can't have a book channel and not read.
Yeah, I read such a lot, but it's just I'm looking at the books now. Honestly, I can't think of any. I mean, that anybody might be interested in. I saw a review that they had a couple of books that they thought were particularly relevant to women of a certain age, like 60 plus. And one was called The Weekend by Charlotte Wood.
Long Weekend?
No, The Weekend. It's just called The Weekend. And I started reading that. I'm 60% of the way through that.
Is that any good?
It's all right. It's about 4 friends. One of their friends have died, and it's Australian again. I seem to be veering towards the Australian authors lately, isn't it? So it's about 4 friends, one of whom has died, and then the three that are still alive go to her house to clear it out after she's died, and it's sort of back and forth what they think of each other. You get from the point of view of each friend and what they think of each other, what their lives are like, and it's all right. I haven't finished that.
What was that called?
It's called The Weekend.
The Weekend.
And it's by Charlotte Wood.
Charlotte Wood.
And then I read a book called The Moonlight Market by Joanne Harris. Joanne Harris, she wrote Chocolat. She's my favourite author.
I've never read that book.
Chocolat?
No, I've never seen the film either.
That's lovely. You should read that. That's really nice. She's
I think
recently bought a new book out about the same woman that's in Chocolat. It's called Vianne. I haven't read that yet. It's her brand new book.
I need to go on holiday so I can read more books.
You do.
I'll read more when I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
I read The Lamplighters Bookshop. That was a good story as well.
I've seen that a few times on different book pages. People have said that was good.
Yeah, I read that. No, I've read The Letter. Also, again, The Letter by Catherine Hughes. I only gave that 3.5. I did on that this month. Put If Tomorrow Never Comes. That was a lovely story. But that never got picked. I gave that 4 stars.
When you said that, there's a Sidney Sheldon book called If Tomorrow Never Comes.
Oh, but this is about a girl. Why it's called If Tomorrow Never Comes. At 17, she got leukemia.
Right.
And she, so of course, as far as it goes, If Tomorrow Never Comes. So she said, and then it went in remission, and then it came back again. And so why she never had the port taken out of her. But it's a very.
I read that. I think I read that recently.
It's a lovely story.
I saw you put that. It's a little bit triggering for me at the moment.
Well,
yeah, that's what I thought, Karen.
Well, that's what happened to me when I read The Letter. That's about somebody whose husband died of cancer.
Yeah.
And it was just after I lost Ron. And
Right.
I cried all the way through the book. But then I've read it. I've read it 18 times.
Yeah. Wow.
I was so impressed. I think that sticks in my mind the whole time, this book.
Right.
I don't think a book will ever stick in my mind like that.
Yeah.
It's
funny how you do, isn't it?
It's such a lovely story.
Yeah.
But with Ruth, she's so descriptive with her book. I mean, she comes from Cornwall, or she lived in Cornwall, and she tells you all about Cornwall. And the way she writes.
Modern day Daphne du Maurier, is it?
She's the only thing she write the last one she's written now. She said it's the only one she's going to do with the Rose Craddock series, the Chronicles, and they are really lovely books.
Yeah,
because I know her personally. I mean, I've met her.
Right.
Because I've been when we were in Cornwall, we met up, and I've known her for about 5-6 years. But she does write some lovely books. And she doesn't write very often. I mean, I don't think it's a whole source of income because she's got that. But when she does write some superb books.
Leslie says, do you read the book before watching the film?
Depends. I like films or books equally, isn't it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
What I find is, I think I said this on a video the other day. I read the Twilight books and I absolutely loved them. I couldn't put them down. And then I watched the films, and the actors, the chosen, weren't where I had in my head. So now when I went back to read the books again, all I could see was the actors from the film, and it kind of spoiled it for us.
Oh, I think that happens all the time, isn't it? Like I'm always, my daughter Kate, I'm always having, like, we think, oh, who would this be? And if you were making a film, who would this be? And then we have this big discussion, we pick that one, pick that. And then we find out who they've actually cast and think, oh, no, that doesn't go. Which I think, speaking of Odysseus, I think they're making a film currently about Odysseus or something like that. So who would be Odysseus? yeah, we're happy with that. No, we're not happy with that because I think Tom Holland and Zendaya and it says all-star cast, the people who are going to be in Odysseus, and kind of agree with most of them.
Tom Holland, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, he's going to play Telemachus, who is Odysseus' son.
Right.
And I think Zendaya is going to play Hera or some Greek goddess, I think. Or I think I can't remember who's in them all, but I think on the whole we kind of did agree with the casting.
Well, that's what I found with The Sound of Music. After watching the film, we went to, when we were in America, we went to Vermont, and we went up to where they've got their own tea rooms, the actual family. And I said to, I couldn't believe it, they were so ugly. After the children, that from the Sound of Music, I mean, Maria, it was a typical old Austrian. I mean, nothing like Julie Andrews. I said to Dave, that's my husband said, bloody hell. I said, I wanted to know why they never went back.
Director.
Well, why I wanted to go to Vermont was I wanted to know why the family never went back up to Austria. And Vermont is just like Austria.
I've never seen The Sound of Music.
Oh, Vermont's a beautiful part of America.
Yeah.
And I can understand now, because it's just like Austria.
Yeah.
So I can understand why the family never went back. But even
always read the book first.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the show of The Sound of Music as well, but I mean, the chap is nothing like Christopher, whatever his name was, that played in Sound of Music. He was an old Austrian, typical
I did like the musical, but not seen that one. Right, I think I'm going to finish the video there because it is now 10 to 3. We've been chatting for a while. I've always enjoyed these lives. I always think they're quite fun. So I hope people who are watching it think it's fun as well. So thank you to everybody who's joined us in the chat, and thank you to Deb and Maureen for joining us live on camera.
Welcome.
That invitation is open to anybody who wants to join live on camera. You're very welcome. It's not scary at all, is it?
No.
Fun. It's fun. So we'll be reading, this is the third time I've said it, I think, Her Fearful Symmetry by Audrey Niffenegger, and we will discuss that at the end of June. So thanks to everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.